Hi, Emily. So glad you're here. Good morning. It's always so fascinating to me because when I talk on here, I think that people can respond and I forget that their mics are off. So it's not distracting for the class. But hello, I see you in the chat now. Here we are. How's your weekend going? No, it's just starting, but I always look forward to Fridays. I'm like, okay, it's Friday. Very cool. Just getting my notes up here. Good. It's going really well. I'm excited for this workshop today. We're talking about my favorite things, which is self-care. I'm all about just loving on myself and taking care of myself. And took years of getting to a place of, really feeling comfortable putting myself first. But now we're here and getting to really talk about this stuff and dive deep and share. And it's really, really special. So I'm glad that you are here. Looks like Lynn is joining us. Can you hear me okay, Emily? I'm assuming so. Okay, perfect. I am going to put on a little music for myself because it helps me to stay focused here. Hopefully, you can't hear that. Okay, perfect. Lynn, I see you're still trying to connect to the audio. Hopefully, you can hear me. Very exciting. Very exciting. Emily, you're in LA, right? Did you enjoy the rain, or is it still raining there? I was there earlier in the week and um, was loving the rain. We am back in Palm Springs, but we got some rain here, but not that much. But LA was like raining so much while I was there. It was beautiful. Not raining anymore. Yay. Okay, cool. It's nice when it's here, right? And then it's also nice when it leaves and the energy moves and the sun is out again. So, yeah. But those days, talk about self-care. I fully was like, if it's not that important and it doesn't have to happen right now, it's not going to happen right now because I'm going to love on my puppies and I'm going to chill. Went to the spa on like a Tuesday or something, or Monday, which was really nice. It's those moments, right, where like our programming tells us that we have to do so much all the time, but giving ourselves permission to not is really special. Feels good. Feels very good. A couple more moments will let people join and then we will get started. Let's see. Eager.
Surprise.
Lynn, there you are. You're connected.
Surprise. No video for me
There we
though.
go. Hello, hon. How are you?
Hello.
Hope you're enjoying New York. I think you're still there.
I am.
Um, Glad that you're here, starting your day with, actually, it's later there. So, still very happy to have you.
You too, honey.
Full screen. Is it full screen? Okay, cool. There we go. Now we're rocking and rolling. Hmm. We have a couple more people that will be joining, so I'm going to give them some time before we start. And guys, feel free to ask questions during the workshop. Um, I'm happy to answer any questions, and it'll be a fun time together. Okay, let's see. All right. Hello, welcome, 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 Jamie. Hi. Mhm. Oh, little kitty cat. Yeah, guys, feel free to also turn your camera on if you'd like. No pressure, but we love to see your beautiful faces. Mr. Brady's in the house. Hello. This is like a family reunion. Hey, Emily, now I can see you. And your beautiful hair. I love your haircut. It looks amazing. Hi, Amy. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, love. Happy to be here.
Yay. This is awesome. Very beautiful, beautiful. I was saying earlier, I'll say this again, probably during the workshop, but feel free to drop any questions that you may have in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them and connect with you. We'll wait just a couple more moments and then we will get started as people are joining. Hi, Lana. Welcome in. Glad to have you
Hello.
and happy to be here this morning. This is a beautiful way to start our day. I know most of us are joining from California, LA area. I think Lynn is in New York right now. But how special that we can be together on this platform. There's Lynn.
Hi,
Hi,
honey.
honey.
Hi, family.
So
Hi.
great to see your faces. This is awesome.
Aw. I wanted to just
So
show you.
awesome. When I teach virtually like this, I sometimes while I'm talking, I think that at some point someone's going to answer back and it just doesn't happen. So it's good to see your faces. Wow, look at New York City. I have not been there in years. How special. I know
Yeah.
that you just feel like you're at home there, so
Oh, I have
it's a good
fallen right
happy
into
place,
step.
other than
Yeah.
the beach.
But I miss the beach.
Very cool. We'll wait another minute and then we'll get started, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. What a gorgeous view, Lynn.
Right? It's not a bad
And I
place
love
to
Amy's
recover.
photo. Amy is in Laguna Beach, and her place is just so special. And it's Laguna Beach. It's so beautiful. Like any beach is just special, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and get started, guys. People can join in if they are going to. I'm glad that we are all here. I like to begin my sessions by closing our eyes for just a moment. I feel like this helps us to recalibrate our energy and just kind of drop in and ground into the space together. So let's connect with our breath. Let's take a nice full cleansing breath in and out. We're going to take a couple more of these slow, deep inhales in. Let's go ahead and expand on this next breath and letting it go. And let's take one more nice full breath into our bodies. And just let it all go. And welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. I am super excited to be here and to be starting my Saturday morning off with you guys. This is awesome. I was saying this earlier, but if you have any questions or anything as we move through the workshop, please feel free to drop them in the chat here so I can answer them. But for those of you who have not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Bradley Ryan. I am a Reiki therapist and sound therapist. I teach guided meditation classes on this beautiful platform. And my partner and I, Brady, who is on this workshop, have a self-care brand, which I feel like is so fitting for our conversation today. Self-care is just like something that I have ingrained into my daily practice and have been preaching for years now. And it's something that has truly shifted, my way of thinking and how I show up to the world and for myself. And when we created the brand, it was just such a special thing, right? It just kind of made sense. It was something that I really connected with. And in our brand, we have candles and aromatherapy sprays, and we have bath soaks. And it's so much more than just the product, right? I feel like that's where the intention behind self-care comes into play. I'm not just lighting a candle and walking away. I'm creating an actual ritual for myself in that moment. And self-care doesn't have to be hours long. Self-care can be a couple of minutes. When I'm lighting a candle, it may be a 2-minute ritual, right? But it's something where I just take time to pause and to be with myself and to connect with my heart space and my breath and my intention, and then light the candle, and then sit in the space that I've created for myself. But, adding those layers of intention into our day, by the end of the week, we've had so many moments that we were intentionally, designing and creating our own life. And that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to have fun. We're here to experience all the flavor of life. And when we can really create those times and spaces for us, we get to really experience life and in full color, right? So I hope today is just inspiring to you to kind of connect with yourself and self-care. We're going to be talking about self-awareness and self-care also. I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. They kind of are married and speak well to each other. The more self-awareness we can have, the more we know where to pull from to actually take care of ourselves in those moments, right? If we're aware of self in that I'm feeling anxious, then I can know to reach into my self-care toolbox and say, when I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to pause and I'm going to take slow breaths in, or I'm going to go for a quick 3-minute walk outside. But the more we can become aware of ourselves, the more we know how to take care of ourselves in those moments. And I'm excited to have this workshop today because this is really an extension of my classes that I teach here at the Den. I teach every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. The class is called Chill the Fuck Out. I feel like the name kind of speaks for itself. It's just a moment for us to be together in community and to connect and for you to just relax and receive, right? Before we jump into a day that asks so much of us, we get to kind of just slow down, set the tone for our day, and be together. So hopefully you can join live in the classes, but they also live here on the platform that you can watch the replays back. But we love to be together in communities. So anytime you can join in the mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I will be so honored to see you and to have you. All right, so let's get into our workshop. So I'm going to pull my notes up. Talk about self-awareness. I am aware of myself that if I do not have something to guide me, I will start talking about butterflies and rainbows and all kinds of fun stuff. So let's get into some self-awareness, right? So what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is the conscious awareness of oneself, of your own character, your feelings, your desires, your motives, etc. So basically, it's having a deeper understanding of yourself. It's really being able to feel around within yourself and see what's going on, right? We want to be able to be honest with ourselves and see, how am I feeling? What's going on right now? Why am I showing up this way? It kind of just allows us to dive deep within ourselves and see what's going on and see how we can better love on ourselves or nurture ourselves or just see what we really need. So something that I like to ask, myself and when I'm working with clients is, where are you? Or where am I? And this is just a great way for us to begin the process of checking in. So I'd like to ask you right now, where are you? Can you look within yourself in this moment and feel around and see where you are? How are you feeling right now in this moment? Are you open and excited to be together and to learn? Or are you in a place where maybe your mind is all over the place and you're still settling in? Maybe you're thinking about what you're having for lunch today or what's coming next after this workshop. But there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad in the sense of self-awareness. It really is just being able to simply tune in and to see where we are in any given moment, right? And this is how we really cultivate a sense of self-awareness, but by just checking in. So you're just wanting to check in to yourself, seeing where your mind is, where your heart is, and are they communicating? Are you able to communicate from your heart to your mind? Is your mind communicating to your heart, allowing you to understand what it is that you need? Do you need time? Do you need space? Do you need to laugh? Do you need a hug? We want to create that conversation with ourselves so that we can better understand how to take care of ourselves. All circles back to self-care. So now I want to talk about honesty. How honest are you with yourself? It's one thing to be honest with other people, right? I feel like in passing, there's so many times where, someone says, "Hey, how are you?" And it's in passing, and you're like, maybe you're going through stuff, but you kind of give a blanket answer like, "I'm okay," or "I'm all right." Even though you're going through something in that moment, maybe it's just not a space where you feel comfortable opening up. And that's okay too, right? It's your world. You get to open up to whoever you want to. But with ourselves, we want to make sure that we are having this sense of honesty with ourselves. Because if we're not being honest with ourselves, how can we know how to serve ourselves, right? So being honest with ourselves and seeing what's going on in our own inner world gives us the power to create change. So be honest with yourself, right? You are this beautiful light being, and also this human physical part of self here having an incredible experience in life, right? So we want to be able to dig deeper and to find out more information about ourselves. And also having an awareness that our physical body is always communicating to ourselves, right? Communicating about the environment around us, right? So for example, let's say that you are somewhere in your environment and someone is speaking loudly to you, right? It's not personal. You know that it's not personal, but you are aware of how it's making you feel. Maybe it's triggering you, and you think back of how, when you were a child, your parents yelled at you in a certain way, right? In those moments, when we have a sense of self awareness, we understand how we feel, right? Ooh, this doesn't feel very good to me right now. And in that sense of self-awareness, you know what you can do next. Maybe you reach into your toolbox and you check in with your breath, or maybe you take 2 steps backwards just to create some physical space between you and that other person. And I think what that does is create space in the energy between you so that new energy can kind of flow in and hopefully diffuse how you're feeling. And I think if the other person is kind of noticing that you're taking a step back, it gives them the opportunity to be self-aware too and to check in and say, oh, maybe they're not receiving me in the way that I'm intending to come off. So maybe let me also tone it down. But again, having that sense of self-awareness gives us the power to understand what's going on within us and then create change. And then, while we're here on this subject, I want to touch briefly on having a sense of self-awareness. While it is important, it's also something that we don't necessarily want to harp on, right? We don't want to create more of something. We want to be honest with ourselves, yes, but we don't necessarily want to continue to live in a vibrational frequency that isn't necessarily serving us. So at some point, we want to make sure that we're shifting that narrative, right? So let's say, for example, you're checking in with yourself and maybe you're not feeling so well. Maybe you're going through something in that moment. After a while, you may want to just softly begin to shift that narrative around how you feel so that you can begin to create space for you to feel differently. Now, that doesn't mean to lie to yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're ignoring or neglecting your feelings. It simply means, just like we were talking about earlier, creating space between something. It just means that you want to create space between you and what is going on. And when we create that space, we give ourselves an opportunity to see things from a different perspective, right? We give space for all of us, ourselves included, the feeling that we're experiencing in the moment to kind of breathe. And when everyone can take deep breaths in together, we can all kind of just shift that narrative a little bit about how it is affecting us. So we can kind of get in the habit of moving ourselves up the emotional scale, right? Some days it's going to take more convincing than others, and some days it's going to be much easy to just shift that narrative quickly. But I say this to clients all the time. You know, our healing journey looks like a lot of little steps, right? So if we think about moving up this emotional scale, if we're at a place that's down here that is, I'm bad, I'm not feeling good. You take a one step up, it's like, I'm still upset, still here. One step up, I'm angry right now. Then it's one step up, I'm sad. And then all of a sudden, this narrative starts to shift a little bit, and I'm okay. I'm not good. I'm not bad. I'm somewhere in between. Then it's I'm all right. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. But we want to take those little small shifts to slightly move up. We're not going to go from a vibration of really not feeling well and being down on ourselves to all of the sudden just bouncing off the walls and just loving life, right? It's not sustainable. So for us to just gradually move up that emotional scale gives us time to process our feelings and emotions. It's also helping us to become aware of like, well, these things are real, they are here, but I'm going to gradually start to turn and face the sun, right? We're going to look for the light, right? And I think something important for us to always remember is that, you know, as physical beings here, as energetic beings that we are forever evolving, right? So that means we never get it done. We're never arriving somewhere and it's all over. And we look back and we're like, did we get it right? If we can never get it done, if we're forever evolving, how could we possibly get it wrong, right? So I think it allows us space between holding ourselves so accountable to always showing up as our best self and making sure that we get everything right and we're saying the right things and we're, doing all the right stuff. We can relax a little bit and know that we are on this journey and we're exactly where we're meant to be in any given moment. And, having a sense of self-awareness allows us to celebrate the moments where we are just naturally feeling really good, and also gives us the power in the moments where we're not feeling good to learn to take care of ourselves and implement more self-care, right? So a lot of this stuff is just really easy practice, and it kind of just feels like it all is like common sense. But I think when we can just dive deep within ourselves, it really allows us to see that there is such a depth to ourselves. And, why would we want to have such a sense of self-awareness, right? I think that it gives us the power to understand what's going on within ourselves. It helps us to look deep within ourselves and into the hard wiring of, what works for us, what doesn't work for us. It helps us to see how to speak to ourselves in a time of need. It helps us to understand, others understand how to speak to us also, so that we can receive what they are saying, especially the people that are around us that we love and we spend a lot of quality time with, right? But um, you want to make sure that you're understanding yourself so that you can see when you're in old loops or old narratives, because we want to get in the habit of stopping those old narratives before they build so much momentum. We live in a law of attraction based universe, right? So that which is like is drawn into itself. So if we are in old loops and old narratives, if we're not self-aware of that, if we're just continuing to show up and to answer in the same way that we have for the last 5 years, and those last 5 years haven't really served us in a way or in a direction where we want to see our life going, we want to have sense of self-awareness to be like, whoa, skirt, like pump the brakes here. Let's reset. Let's recalibrate how I'm showing up and answering. And this is where I was talking about um, kind of shifting that narrative, right? It's like you want to just make sure, oh, that feels like old stuff. How is my new self showing up? How is my future self going to answer? How am I feeling? Or what am I working on? Or what am I creating? If we're constantly going to a place of, things are okay, they could be a lot better, and that's kind of how we answer everything, then things are more than likely going to be stay the same, right? So when we have a sense of self-awareness, we can stop ourselves in those moments, and we can really tune into what's coming up for us, what's arising, what no longer needs to stay there, what can we really let go of. So just dropping into self always, right? We're with ourselves always. So we want to get to know ourselves. We want to build that relationship with ourselves. Just like if we meet a new friend, we're like eager to understand them and to see what they love and to do new things together. But sometimes we should also romanticize that relationship with ourselves, right? And some ways that we can become more self-aware. And I say this all the time. I might even say this again today, but I say this about everything. But everything in life is just a muscle that needs flexing, right? So you have to just start somewhere with everything. You have to just make the decision that you're going to start and start. And the more you begin to feel around, the more you'll start to understand yourself, right? And the more you're understanding yourself, the more you'll realize what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then through slowly, showing up consistently, just like everything else in life, the more consistent we can be with things, the more results we're going to yield. So the more we can just continue to show up, the better and better we will become about being self-aware and understanding ourselves. And then all of a sudden, it's like we don't have to necessarily practice it anymore. It's almost fully integrated into our being, and it's just a part of us. So we just naturally have this communication with ourselves where we're understanding, oh, I see that pattern, or I feel good right now. Again, because we're not only looking for the times that we feel bad so that we can shift the narrative, we also want to be aware of the times that we feel good so that we can truly relish those moments, right? When something feels really good, don't you just want to stay in that moment forever? Like, you're in a meditation and all of a sudden it's over and you're like, I could have stayed here for 2 more hours. You want to soak those feelings up. So also be aware of when you're feeling good. And I say out loud to myself all the time, I'm like, I feel very joyful right now. And I allow myself to fully process the understanding that what I am experiencing physically is joy. because then our minds begin to looks for joy in life. Where else is joy showing up? Where else is this feeling within ourselves showing up in our day to day? So, um, some ways that we can be, let's get into some ways that we can be self-aware, right? This is very easy and super simple, but it's just, again, somewhere to start. So, it's all about creating space for yourself, right? Just time to pause. Now, you can be self-aware throughout your day. Maybe you're already practicing this, and this is great. But if you want to have just some dedicated time to really sit in this practice, um, I recommend just kind of creating space for you to pause, right? Creating space, whether it's like 5 or 10 minutes, maybe it's even less, for you to just simply observe yourself. And I've done this when working with new clients and clients that I've worked with for a while because I begin to realize more and more of their patterns, right? And so I can hear when they are just saying, "Oh, things are going good. Things are going good." And then we get into the actual our session. I can tell that like, oh, that wasn't necessarily something, there's more to that, right? And sometimes I'll have them just lay there and I'll be like, we're going to do an exercise of self-awareness and we're going to focus on three things. And we're going to focus on what are we hearing? Are we thinking? Are we feeling? And I have them just lay there and say out loud for like 5 minutes each of those experiences. So if they hear something, I'm hearing. If they think something, I'm thinking. If they feel something, I am feeling. Because that helps us to drop into ourself. And in those moments, in the beginning of really us just gearing ourselves and facing towards a life more self-awareness, it's not necessarily about what is going on, but that something is going on, right? So it's not, oh, what do I hear? It's I hear something, and then you kind of let it go, right? But it helps you to be more inward focused than outward focused. Life is so beautiful and distracting and colorful and fun, but all of that also lives within ourselves. So we want to make sure we take time to, sit with ourselves and really understand what's going on. But this helps us to get in the mode of becoming self-aware, right? So it's again less about what's going on, and more about that something is. So anytime you can just get in the habit of asking yourself, like we did earlier, where am I? Where am I? How do I feel? How do I feel in this moment? I feel open. I feel excited. I feel joyful. Or, I'm feeling a little tired. I'm feeling a little closed off today. I'm feeling a little anxious. Just again, having a sense of self-awareness so you know what is going on. Now, if you really want to get into it, you could set reminders on your phone. This could be something that's just like, hey, check in with yourself. Like, this is a moment throughout your day randomly that you're just going to check in and see right where you are. Maybe you create a note on your phone and you log, how you're feeling. That helps you to become self-aware. Maybe it's something where you pick either morning or night or both, and you simply just sit and write where you are in that moment, right? And then at the end of the week, you can reflect and see where your patterns are. If that week kind of looked like, I don't feel well, I don't feel good, I'm upset, you can kind of be like, oh, okay, I spent an entire week sitting in this vibration. Now I can wake up tomorrow and choose to just do nothing about it, or I can choose to, shift that narrative and be a little bit better. And again, that's where moving up that emotional scale comes into play. That's also where self-care comes into play, because the more we can implement things of balance where we're giving back to ourselves, the more we will feel good. So those journal entries will start to feel like, I feel great. I feel open. I feel excited. Things are good. Things are in flow. I am well. And those are the places that we want to be, right? Again, it's not ignoring the times where we don't feel well. It's honoring those spaces too, but just beginning to flex those muscles. And like I said earlier, the more self-aware we can become, the more we know how to help ourselves in any given moment. And we're going to move into the self-care portion of this now, which I'm very excited about. But when you do have a greater sense of self-awareness, it's like saying, if I am feeling overwhelmed, I'm going to do X. If I'm feeling angry, I'm going to do Y. And that's why it's important to build up that self-care toolbox. It's something that you just have to reach from. Maybe it's something that you write in a notebook, just a list of things that you enjoy doing, right? Going to the park, going for a walk, getting my nails done, doing skincare, whatever it is for you. But you want to have offerings for yourself to choose from. It's almost like a menu that you're like, what do I need today? I'll take that. That's going to light me up today. That's going to help me feel good. Um, so moving right along, guys, this is awesome. Self-care. Self-care is something that you want to incorporate into your daily routine. In my opinion, it is like a non-negotiable, and some days you're going to have a lot more time to self-care. Some days maybe you didn't get that much time to self-care. Some days maybe it's woven in throughout the day, like little moments where you're taking care of yourself. And some days maybe you're spending the entire day self-caring. Those days I live for, and I create time and space for those as often as I possibly can, or I can just be like, you know what? Everything can wait. It can wait until tomorrow. It can wait until later today. Again, you want to have that balance. Some things we do need, some things have deadlines, and we want to make sure we take care of those things so we're not creating more stress for ourselves. But we want to create the balance of taking care of ourselves mixed in with all that we have to show up to, right? So I say to myself, an easy rule of thumb is if you're just starting, to self-care and really starting your journey, is to get a good morning routine and even a good night routine. If we have a great night routine, that really does kind of set the tone for us to have a great night's sleep and also sets us up vibrationally for the following day. So we typically wake up in the mornings where we left off the night before. So if the night before you're processing stuff while you're laying there and you're going through the day and things that were said and whether things worked out or not, you're going to more than likely wake up in that same energy, right? So we want to use the end of the night as a time to clear all that stuff out and to set ourselves up to have a great day tomorrow, right? Again, we're not neglecting things. We're just kind of shifting. It's not about forgetting about it. It's just shifting our energy in a new direction and trusting that whatever it was will work itself out or we'll come back around to it when we're in a clear place, right? So, but if anything, start with a morning routine. It is the most powerful thing that you can do. My mornings are so sacred to me. I do almost the same thing every single morning because that's just what works for me. And you've got to play around to see what works best for you. But, my mornings will consist of meditation, breath work, grounding outside, being in nature, playing with my puppies, connecting with my body. Again, these are things that just easily light me up. Like no brainer. The moment that I like get in the floor and like hug my one of our dogs, I'm gonna be so happy, so elated. So that is like setting the tone for my day. When I go outside and I'm in nature, I'm calibrating and tuning myself to the perfect vibration that nature is, right? So again, it's setting my day up to hopefully flow from that space. But, you know, self-care is something that's supposed to help create balance. And it's also supposed to be something that feels good, that you enjoy. So, it's not like, oh, self-care looks like taking a 5 a.m. aerobics class and you are not a morning person. You don't have to do that to yourself. If that is what lights you up, please go for that 5 a.m. class. But what we do for self-care isn't what we see on Instagram that other people are telling us to do. It's specifically what works for you. And you know yourself. You've lived with yourself up until this point. So you know the things that make you happy. Reach for those things. Schedule those things. Just like we schedule work at 9 a.m. on a Monday, you've got to schedule self-care at 6 p.m. on a Monday after work or Sunday afternoon when you have some extra free time, right? But it's supposed to feel good. So these are things that are truly giving back to your own well-being. And I think we can all agree we live in a world that, asks so much of us at times, right? It's the need to post on social media or having to respond to that email or text or phone call or meeting. And also wear so many masks at times for so many people and so many things that we do. But where's the balance, right? If we're not taking time to take care of ourselves, then we're not in balance. So we need that time to really recharge, reset our energy, right? Just kind of shake everything off and just be in the present moment with yourself. Now, um, something that is probably the most important thing about self-care and really anything that we do is making sure that we give ourselves permission to fully be there, really allowing ourselves to do it, to be it, to have it. We want to give ourselves that permission slip, that pass to be in that moment and to be present with what we are doing and how we're giving back to ourselves. We don't want it to look like our physical bodies are here and we're taking a bath or we're on a walk, but our minds are racing and our mind is saying, you should be working on that project or you should be doing X, Y, and Z that are things that, you are have obligations or stuff that you have to show up to. We want to actually be present for ourselves during self-care, right? So, we've got to create time to give to ourselves, but in those times that we're giving to ourselves, allowing our minds to be present for ourselves, right? We don't want to be all over the place. We want to let go of those thoughts. If they start to creep in, let them go. Move your body, shake your body, brush it off, whatever kind of works for you. And we're going to get into some like tools that I use in just a bit, that hopefully we're going to practice here together and hopefully you can take and use into your day. But I like to refer to myself as the self-care queen. I have been working on this for years, right? Giving back to myself and it's just where I am now. It's a part of my day. Like I first and foremost, I'm like, what am I going to do for me today? And then I think about all the things that I've said yes to that I'm going to show up to. But I remember, year in the last 6 years, that wasn't always the place. I was not always in this space with my self-care routine. And it took time to really put that all first. I worked at jobs that, really sucked the life out of me and always wanted more from me. And it was never enough. And I would feel bad or guilty about calling out if I was sick, or beat myself up for just not giving more of myself when I didn't have anything else to give. And um, that energy and that feeling still does creep up sometimes. And I think it's something that we all kind of struggle with at times, is really being present for ourselves in a world that asks so much. But again, it's just a muscle that needs to be flexed. So the more we can continue to flex that muscle, the more we will put those thoughts out of mind and be present with ourselves, right? But it takes time to just undo all of that programming. And it also takes time to build up your toolbox, right? And I am so proud of my self-care toolbox. I know what's in there. And most importantly, I know that it's going to make me feel good. Now, it's not something that's going to, oh my gosh, everything's just going to change and shift and, disappear. All of our problems are just going to disappear if we immediately start taking care of ourselves. I think what it is, yes, sometimes that does happen. Sometimes in taking care of yourself, the energy does shift. But when your energy shifts within, you're showing up differently. So if we've shifted our energy and how we feel about ourselves, we're going to show up to everything that we're doing as a different version of ourselves. So you're going to be thinking more clearly. You're going to feel more balanced. And you're going to be okay giving that next hour to a meeting because you just took 3 hours to take care of you, right? Now that feels like balance to me, like giving back to ourselves and also giving to the things that we have said that we will give back to, right? Um, so let's start and talk about some basic self-care. Um, and it's not really basic at all, actually. I'm just using that term, but it's really just foundational, right? And for me, I'm going to share the things that are like go-tos for me. These are things that help me to just feel more grounded in myself and give me the ability to kind of step away from what's going on in life. Um, and just drop into myself, right? And so I'm going to go through these, share them, and I'm going to share you what elevates them, what I'm doing that really elevates what it is that I'm doing to take care of myself. So for me, skincare is a huge part of my self-care routine. It's and also taking care of my body. So for me, doing a face mask and a meditation is like golden. I love those moments for myself. You know, cleansing my skin and going through a whole skincare routine is everything. It makes me feel good. It makes my skin feel radiant and glowy. But the important part of it is, one, you're physically getting the benefits from it, right? You're putting yummy ingredients on your skin. It's going to be so happy and beautiful, and it's just going to feel good. That's one part. The intention behind it, though, is everything. So let's say I'm washing my face, right? As I'm cleansing my face, maybe I'm saying cleansing affirmations to myself, like I let go of that which doesn't serve me. I wash away any negativity or anything stuck to me that is not mine. I free myself. I dry my face off. And then I move into the skincare where I'm putting products on my face to just help hydrate my skin. While I'm putting those products on, I'm being loving to myself. I'm being gentle with myself as I massage them into my face. I'm saying things to myself like, I deserve this moment. This time is for me. In this moment, I'm slowing down and I'm giving back to myself because I deserve this time. I deserve this love. I deserve to feel good, right? So if you think about it, if you're doing a skincare routine every day, let's just say in the morning or at night, sometimes twice a day, think of at the end of the week how much love you gave to yourself in those moments. If you are intentionally speaking to yourself with love in the small things that you already do, at the end of the week, you are going to feel so good about yourself. And again, that's going to become just fully integrated into your vibration. You're going to just feel good. You're going to radiate. People are going to see it, they're going to notice it. Taking care of my body has also been something that I've been working on. I started this in December, and I do it at least once a week. Sometimes I try to be better about dropping to really taking care of my body. And what I'll do is I'm kind of like doing loving affirmations on my body. For me, I've always been very critical of my body. And I think a lot of people also show up in that same space of judging ourselves, right? And comparing ourselves to so many people, especially on social media, where we get to see beautiful, perfect bodies. I guess perfect really is health. Like we're healthy, right? And we're here right now and we're healthy. So acknowledging that is self-care. But I'll just take my favorite body oil or lotion and I'll start to just, nurture each part of my body while I'm like rubbing oil or lotion on my arms. I'll say, thank you so much for your support, for being here, for connecting me to life. I'll move to my chest and I'll level my heart space. Again, this is supposed to feel good, right? This is something that you're incorporating in your day where you're being intentional, physically doing something, and keeping your mind in a space where those are communicating from your heart, right? So you're loving on yourself, loving on yourself. We cannot get enough of that, I don't think. So the more times where you can just be intentional of how you speak to yourself, because sometimes on autopilot, I'll be driving and I'm like judging myself. And then I'm like, whoa, I just realized that I'm judging myself. And for what? I'm just driving down the freeway. Like, why did this thought come into my mind? But the more we can reprogram the computer to face in a direction where we reach for loving things about ourselves, we're shifting that narrative, we're replacing those loops about ourselves with stuff that actually serves us, right? So something else that I love to do is my bath time. I can take a 2.5 hour bath and just escape the entire world. And it's so lovely and feels so good. But how I elevate my bath time is the ingredients that I'm putting into my bath beforehand, right? So I love using things like bath salts, bubbles. I'll put honey in my bath, flowers in my bath, like just anything to help my skin feel good. And also just being a part of nature and soaking in the element of water is so powerful. But again, this is where intention meets what we're physically doing in life, right? This is where self-care is elevated. So while I'm pouring in, let's say the bath salts, I'm being intentional as I'm pouring it in, and I say to myself, in this bath, I pour in abundance. I give myself abundance. I'll grab the next ingredient. I'll grab bubbles. I'll pour in bubbles. I'm pouring in love into this bath so I can soak in a space of love, right? It's a ritual. I'm creating the space so that when I'm in there, I'm literally for 2 hours lounging in water, which is healing and cleansing. I've already put abundance, I've put love, I'm throwing in some joy, some freedom, some peace, right? So it's all about what you're creating in your inner environment. So, you know, it's you just got to, again, play around, right? See what works for you. These are things that work for me. Maybe these are things that you can take with you to try and see if you connect with it. But I want to say this also as I say that, give yourself time to connect with it, right? You may not connect with it at first. It may not be, oh my gosh, you have this big awakening as you're pouring products into the bath saying that it's love. But like the more you flex that muscle, the more you'll start to connect with it. And then all of a sudden, you're really riding that love bubble out, right? And something else for me that I think is just so healthy for all of us is being outside. So anytime that I can be outside, I know that I'm going to feel good. Whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, I know that it's going to be amazing for me and I'm going to feel good, right? We have Mother Earth to connect with, so powerful, so much energy. We have nature, which is so beautiful, all the colors, the flowers, the sun, which is so warm and inviting and gives life to everything around us. Again, creating the spaces when we're outside, we're not just outside, but we're observing outside. We're immersing ourselves in nature and we're really soaking up all that it has to offer us, right? So for me, going on walks is like my ultimate self-care moment. It's moving my body, which helps me to move energy, such a powerful thing. If we can dance, if we can move, just connecting with our body is so incredibly powerful. But also just being outside in nature is amazing. And what I do for myself, and hopefully this is a tip that you can take with you. When I go on walks with people, I always start by saying this. Um, because it's such a small shift, but such a big thing for us, right? A lot of times, if you notice next time you're walking outside or walking to your car, a lot of us look down, right? So we're looking down at the ground, looking at our next step. But what's happening there? Are we really trusting that that next step is going to be there? Don't we know that that next step is going to be there without physically looking down at the ground? We want to have an awareness, yes, because we don't want to trip. But I think that if we can go from here to angling slightly up, huge perspective shift. So I like to slightly elevate my gaze this way. So slightly up. So I can see below, I can see what's directly in front of me, but what I'm really looking at is the sky. Because when we look at the sky, it changes our perspective of life, right? It shows us all of the space that we have to expand into, right? We have infinite amount of space when we look up, right? Whether it's daytime and all you see is blue sky, or it's nighttime and you see how far away the stars are, look at all that space we have to expand into. If we're only looking directly at what's directly in front of us, how are we creating what's next? How are we setting our life up for success where we say, this is who I want to be? I see where I am now. That's cool, but I want to be there, right? So try that. Next time you go for a walk or you're outside, just slightly tilt your gaze up. Everything in life is perspective, right? So how we're viewing life is how we're going to feel inside, right? So that felt really good. Now I want to go for a walk. I'll probably do this after our workshop. But working with our own energy is what I want to talk about next. So we're going to discuss ways that you can work with your own energy. So that's taking care of you in any given moment, no matter where you are, right? And the first thing, which is so powerful, is our breath. Our breath is one of the most powerful tools that we have access to, and we always have it with us, right? It is literally the first thing that we do when we enter the world and the last thing that we do before we leave. So that tells you the importance of it, right? And it's something that we don't even really think of, right? Our breath is literally on autopilot. So without thinking, we're breathing, right? We're breathing. Usually we're breathing pretty shallow, right? So for just a moment, let's explore our breath here together. So just observe right where you are, your breath in its natural form. Just take a look at it, following it in and out. It's pretty shallow, right? Now I want us to explore a little bit deeper. Let's take a slow, deep breath in. Let's fill all the way up as much as you can, and let's hold the breath at the top. You can let go of that breath now. Let it go. Let it go. But did you notice how much space you actually have to fill up? So much more than what we actually access. So let's do that again. So let's take another deep breath in, slow and steady into our bodies. And exhale. And when we exhale, we can physically feel our bodies soften, right? Letting go. When we inhale, we feel our bodies expand. We're trying to expand, right? We're evolving. We want to expand into every space that we are in. So our breath literally takes us deeper and deeper into ourselves. So it gives us a better understanding of ourselves. And it has the power to do so many things, right? It can ground us. It can recharge us, refuel us. It can anchor us in the present moment. It can also clear out energies. So for me, I use breathing as a way to clear out when I'm not feeling well. Like if I'm noticing a thought pattern that isn't necessarily serving me, I'll take deep breaths in and imagine that on that exhale, I'm letting it go. Whatever that thought was that was holding me back, I'm freeing myself from it. I'm getting it out of there. And I'm using that breath as a tool to access that energy that's stuck within me and then releasing it, letting it go, freeing up that space within, right? Maybe if you are in need of energy, you're feeling tired, you do a breath of fire. So you're doing short inhales in through your nose that are fast and powerful. Maybe if you're feeling overwhelmed, you want to slow your breath down, right? Slow, deep inhales in to help calm your nervous system and to help just you feel reset, right? So again, this is where it comes back to self-awareness. When we're aware of self, we know what we need in any given moment, and we pull from that toolbox of tools to help us get there, help us to feel better, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is our hands. Our hands, our hands, our hands. They're so powerful, right? They connect us to the outside world. They help to support us on our journey. They pick up things for us. We can hug other people. We can touch other people. We can connect with ourselves, right? So we all have the ability to heal ourselves. And physical touch is one of the most healing, powerful things that we can experience in life, right? So imagine in a moment, pausing and just being with yourself and connecting with yourself. When I need extra love, I place my hands on my body, usually on my heart space or on my belly, and I just begin to lean into that feeling. And the more, again, a muscle that we flex, the more we lean into those spaces, the more we feel the power of it. The more we lean into, oh, wow, this is working, or this feels nurturing in this moment. So let's do this together, right? So I want you to place one hand on your heart and simply tune in. Just tune in right where you are. Being mindful of your thoughts, right? You want to focus on loving thoughts in this moment. This is how we take care of ourselves. We're facing ourselves in a direction of love, physically touching ourselves to connect, sending love to your heart space with your hand, and receive, and receive. Now let's take the other hand and let's place that hand on our bellies. And again, let's just tune in. Where are you? Where are you? Keeping our minds in a direction intentionally that feels healing, sending that healing energy to yourself right now. Now let's start to rub our hands in a circular motion and just tune in to how nurturing this feels. Maybe taking a deep breath in while you do so. Yes. Just showing yourself some love and support in this moment. Feels good. Feels good. Feels good. Beautiful. You can let your hands fall to your side or stay right where you are if it feels good. But if we think about it, if a friend or a loved one is going through something, right? They come to you, give them a hug. Or think about the times where you've placed your hand on someone's back when they're in need and you just start to rub them while they talk because they're crying, right? It's the same concept. We automatically want to touch that other person and hold them and help them to feel good. Well, how often are we doing that to ourselves? That's where self-care comes into play, where we can really work with the powerful energies that we give to others so easily. We can turn that inwards and give that to ourselves. And that just feels like love. That feels like compassion. And it's just feels really good to have that support, right? So self-care is offering that same support to ourselves that is so easy, such an easy concept for us to think about giving to someone that we care about, but applying it to you. So we have two more things that I want to discuss today. So next we're going to talk about clearing out our energy. So we've talked about breath, we've talked about touch, we're moving into clearing, right? These are all tools that I use, that I tell my clients to use on themselves. Again, very easy practices, but something that's so powerful. So clearing. So there are so many ways that we can help clear out our energy. We already talked about our breath, using our breath as a way to clear ourselves out. But you can also clear out things with your words, right? You can clear out your energy with affirmations or your intention. Sometimes when I catch myself on a path in my mind that doesn't feel so good, I will say out loud, like, clear, 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 you know? Or I'll say out loud, like, you're doing that thing again. It's so funny. I stop and reflect with my partner who's here, Brady, all the time of like what his day is like to experience living with me. Because out of nowhere, I'm in the kitchen and I'm like, you're doing that thing again. And I'm like calling myself out again, self-awareness, so that I can just stop that narrative, stop that thought process that I'm at, and don't lean into it any further. And also, it's funny, right? Like, again, it may feel weird, it may feel silly at first. It's a muscle to flex, so keep flexing it. And then all of a sudden, now when I do it, it makes me giggle. So think of how powerful that is. I'm on a train of thought that is leading me to a place that does not feel good. And then in my self awareness, I shift that narrative. And then next moment, I'm laughing at myself. Like, wow, that right there diffused the energy and then shifted my vibration to a place that is more serving. So then I can understand from a compassionate place, oh, I was thinking that because of this. And because of that, I'm going to give myself a hug, or I'm going to go share that with my partner so that we can have a good giggle over it, right? But it turns it to something that's silly, and laughter is just so powerful, right? So powerful. So another way to clear our energy is through movement. We're in these physical bodies all day, but a lot of us are not connected to them. And a way that we can connect to our bodies and move energy is through movement. So it's doing clearing movements, it's dancing, it's going for walks, it's doing jumping jacks. Again, whatever works for you. But for me, I love to clear my energy through brushing myself off. Again, like if I'm in a thought pattern in a moment, if I'm not saying something out loud to catch myself, I'm like, whoa, and I'll literally brush it off my chest. Again, simple practice. Life gets to be easy, guys. It gets to be this easy where we just work with ourselves through these easy steps and practices. So let's do this together. Let's just start to brush off our bodies, literally brushing off what doesn't serve us. You can go through your arms, releasing it. I love to hit the back of my head and think of all the crazy thoughts that are stored in here and just letting it go. But pick up this practice. And if you're, in your day and something comes up for you, you're literally just like, ooh, no, no, you no longer have space here. I'm letting you completely go, right? And again, if it feels silly, I encourage us to lean into it even more. If it's something that makes you smile and you kind of look around afterwards, like, did someone see me? Great. I love being in those places. I was working with a client yesterday, and after our session, which was so powerful, she was asking me ways that she could work through certain things. And I was like, you know what? Something that works for me when I'm stuck is, again, I like to go outside and go for walks. I will skip down the street. Okay. So I was like, girl, go outside and skip down the sidewalk. I am telling you right now, you will feel the importance of stepping into that empowered place where you're like, it feels weird and people are going to look at me, but I do not care. And the moment you get over that fear of people watching you, that sweet zone of you just fully embracing all of who you are, you will love to go skipping. I have literally had text messages from people or people on Instagram message me and been like, I think I just saw you skipping down Sunset Boulevard. And I'm like, that was me. Absolutely, that was me. But again, any time we can just shove ourselves out of a place that doesn't feel good and do something that is silly and drops us into our body and makes us laugh, I am so supportive of those moments. So wonderful. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is grounding. Okay. So this is something that is so easy and so powerful. And, we've already talked about our breath can ground us. So, in a moment we're feeling like, oh, we don't know what to do, or we feel very airy, we can take slow breaths in to ground us into the moment so that we can act and think more clearly. But another way for us to ground very easily is to literally connect with the ground. So, walking outside, putting your bare feet on the ground, and just breathing. If you can't put your bare feet on the ground, bend down and place your hands on Mother Earth, okay? This is a non-negotiable for me. I do this several times throughout the day. Um, I'm grateful that we have a backyard and I can do that, but sometimes we don't. So we have to be mindful of the spaces where we see the ground and we can connect. But I do this every single morning. I stand bare feet on the ground, connect with the sun, connect with Mother Earth, okay? It's such a powerful way for us to ground. And there are tons of research out there. Studies have shown that you literally instantly ground yourself when you make direct contact with the earth, right? So in that moment, electrons are transferred from the earth to you. Your body is filled with these electrons. This helps to immediately calm your mind. It creates a better sense of flow for the cells of your body. And it's also very recharging. If we think about nature, right? Everything is connected to Mother Earth. We, as humans, live in these homes. We wear shoes all the time, but everything outside of us is directly connected to Mother Earth. If we think about plants, trees, animals, they spend their entire existence connected to Mother Earth in some way, shape, or form. So that in itself shows us the importance of connecting with Mother Earth, right? So take 5 minutes to get grounded, and while you're there, remember to be mindful, right? Remember to be in touch with your mind, connecting with Mother Earth, allowing for that recharge to just happen naturally. You don't have to do anything but show up. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to do anything but just show up. And that's a beautiful space to be in life because oftentimes we have to think our way through so many things. But any moment where we can just be and allow, we should lean into those spaces, right? Beautiful, very beautiful. Thank you. So, to wrap up, I hope that you learned something new today. I hope that you walk away today with something that just inspired you to incorporate into your daily or weekly practice. Again, start somewhere, right? It doesn't mean that you need to schedule hours of self-care into your weeks now. If you can, go for it, please. And message me and tell me how you're feeling afterwards because it's going to be great. But just start somewhere. Start with a morning routine. Start with 20 minutes. Whatever you can give that helps you feel like you have the time and space, do it. Lean into it, right? And I know a lot of the things that we covered here today were very general, maybe even something that you're already practicing or something that you are aware of or have heard of before. But I have, as I've been working with clients and with myself, especially at the start of the year, because it just felt like a fresh beginning, right? I've learned that a lot of the things that we so easily do, we've kind of leaned into a space where it's just like, oh yeah, I'll do that, right? But the more we can kind of dive deep into it, we reignite the power of it, right? So thank you guys so much for being here. Lana, thank you. I appreciate you being here so much. Please come and meditate with me on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. for Chill the Fuck Out. If you are there and available, I would love to start my day with you. So thank you. This was a gift and a joy and a treat to start a Saturday together. I'm so grateful to the Den meditation for creating spaces where we can be in community, right? I think all of us need that sense of community. And whether we can be in person or virtually like we are here today, we feel connected, right? Seeing your faces right now, like being together, like I feel like you guys are here in my home with me right now. And that is a joy. That is a treat. I pinch myself sometimes and I'm like, wow, this is what I get to do with my life. Like, oh, I could cry. Yeah, the meditation's 20 minutes long. Easy breezy. I pick a topic that I focus on, whatever I'm called to kind of share. And we do a little active meditation by dropping into our breath. And then you just get to throw your hands back and relax and receive for 20 minutes. It's over like that. Sometimes I'm like, wow, like, oh my gosh, it's already over. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I just want to say thank you to each person that's here so very much. I just appreciate it. This was an honor. I want to know more about your classes. Oh, great. Would love for you to come. Yeah, wait. Thank you so much. You really are the self-care queen, and it's so inspiring. Amy, thank you. Emily, thank you. Yeah, Emily comes to classes. I love seeing you there. Emily is one of the brave people that turns her camera on. Most people just have their camera off, and trust me, I get it. I do. I get it. I get it. I get it. But it's just beautiful to see your faces. But the topic changes every week. It really is like I will wake up that morning and I'm like, where am I? What am I focusing on today? And that's what I share because I feel like in those moments, that is how spirit is speaking through me. And that's what I'm called to share in those moments and times. So sometimes we're going deep and it's digging in and what are we letting go of? Sometimes it's airy fairy and lovey and colorful and pretty and it feels good. And again, that's where balance comes in to play, right? Doesn't always have to be so deep. It can be light and also be so powerful. So, yeah, would love for you guys to join. Um, Drop into a class, feel free to message me or the din, and we can get you set up on a class and come check it out and try it out. But it's a great way to start Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they also do live here on the platform that you can watch back anytime. But again, any opportunity that we can be in community, I think we should all truly take advantage of because it just feels good. Oh my goodness. I am like buzzy and I feel so wonderful and yummy and I just want to do this all over again. Does anyone have any questions or anything you'd like to share? If not, we can conclude. Let's all take a full breath into our bodies to kind of activate and let all this energy soak in. And softly release the breath together. And thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate your presence today and supporting what we're doing here. And thank you for being you. Okay, you're special, you're wonderful, and I love you all. Big hugs. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys again soon. Thank you. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Lana. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Brady. Thank you. All right, everyone. Bye-bye.